Hey friends, here we are in my kitchen. This is not a set on the Food Network or anything like that. This is literally my kitchen I cook in every day. And since we are all home together, and I'm particularly home as I'm not traveling outside at all, we are here in Santa Clara, the epicenter of California for the coronavirus. So we are really staying put. And no matter what I've been through in my life, no matter where I am in business, no matter what I'm doing, I always find my comfort in the kitchen. My love for cooking began early in life, and I'm doing my daddy proud by sharing some of our family recipes with you that I've tailored and crafted to be a more healthy version. Today, we're gonna cook butternut squash soup. Now, many people are going for the convenience packaged cubed butternut squash. I'm going to show you in this video how you can take a whole butternut squash and prepare it. A lot of people stray away from that, from the squash family, the winter squashes. These are so durable and they last for such a long time. So my recommendation is when you're at the store in these next couple weeks, pick up some acorn squash, spaghetti squash, butternut squash. We all have time to cook fresh right now, don't we? And one of the things I want to say about cooking at home is in America, we have been convenienced to death. And we are buying too much prepared foods and packaged foods and processed foods. And what I'd like to encourage and inspire and challenge with these home cooking videos is that an untrained chef, home cook, whatever you want to call me, can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So this butternut squash soup has been in our family a long time, probably 25 years. And the kids really love it. I used to only cook it during the holidays, and now I cook it throughout the year as long as I can find one of these bad boys. And I have tailored this to omit any heavy cream and dairy. You can use, instead of vegan butter, you can use regular butter, of course. Instead of oat milk, you can obviously use half and half cream, whatever you would like, as rich as you want it. You can use chicken broth instead of vegetable broth. The recipe traditionally calls for vermouth, but since we don't drink martinis anymore, I'm gonna use Chardonnay, that I will drink. And I'm gonna thicken it with soaked cashews, which I'm gonna show you a speedy way of doing that rather than soaking them overnight. So how could you go wrong with all these amazing ingredients? I mean, honestly, we've got some seasonings here, some fresh herbs, and do not underestimate the power of your veggies to give you the boost in your health that you need. And speaking of that, this is a time that people can really turn to comfort foods, alcohol, whatever the case may be, sweets, potato chips, one of my go-tos, popcorn. Now is the time that we actually can really support our health, and we need to. If what they're saying is true, that an exorbitant amount of people are going to be exposed and are already exposed to the virus, it's important that we manage our own health and we support our health this way through our food, because our food truly is medicine, and I've had to do it to live. So I hope that I'm going to inspire you to eat more plants and to lighten up your cuisine and support your body. Let's get cooking. Okay, so I'm going to teach you quickly how to prepare an entire butternut squash. So I have an amazing Titan vegetable peeler that I love. And so you peel it quickly like this, right? Long ways. And then you're going to take your sharpened knife, point side down so it doesn't wiggle on you. And I'm just showing you this to be brief. And then we're going to cube it. Of course, finish peeling it, and then you're going to cube it like so. Okay? Simple as that. Okay, so cutting up a butternut squash is not the easiest thing in the world. That's why they make them pre-packaged and ready to go now. I still think it's healthier to do this fresh. You will come to a part where there's seeds, but I just want to show you the best way to do it is by putting the point of the knife down and using the heel of your hand to help you push through the butternut squash. So we're finished with that. Whoops, got some awry here. And now I'm going to show you about the thickening agent, the creamy agent, which is going to be blended cashews. So typically in vegan cooking, they require you to soak, the recipes require you to soak the nuts overnight or for a minimum of 4 hours. Here, I'm just putting some boiled water on top of the cashews, and we're gonna put those aside and let that sit for about a half an hour, and they'll be ready to go. Let's talk about leeks. I love leeks. Who doesn't love a good leek? Poor thing though, we only get to use the white and the light green section, which I have here ready to go. Now leeks can have little surprise critters in them, including dirt and soil and bugs. So the way to make sure that your leek is cleaned is by chopping first, and then we're gonna soak it in a little bit of water, and then we'll strain it. Leeks are so good for soups, for egg scrambles if you eat eggs, for any kind of vegetable scramble. Leek and potato goes really well together, as we know. So we're just gonna let this, make sure there's no hidden sand, let this sit for a few minutes, and then we'll strain it. We're ready at the stove. I've got my beautiful Lake Tahoe dish, that pan that Jessica bought me for Christmas. I love it. Hi Jessica, hi Stephen. So I've got about a tablespoon of this new type of heart healthy oil called Thrive culinary algae oil, and I was concerned that it wouldn't taste good, but it really tastes very neutral, but it's great for high heat cooking. And right now we got a little high heat going on. So I have about a tablespoon of that in there, and about a half a tablespoon of vegan butter. Again, you can use regular butter if you'd like. I'm gonna toss in my leeks and my green onions or scallions. And by the way, these can all be rough chopped because it is gonna be blended and smoothed out. And then I've got my shallots. I love shallots. Again, the recipe's gonna be down in the comments here. So we have about a half a shallot, 3 green onions, and the white and light green part of the leek. And we're gonna saute those. And I'm gonna reach behind in front of my cameraman here for my spoon. I've got a really cute cameraman on the scene today. His name's Victor, my husband. All right, so you can see, I'm not being so particular about the chop because we are gonna blend it. We're just gonna sweat these, and I'm gonna start adding a little bit of seasonings here because I believe in layering your seasonings as you're cooking. So I'm gonna add just a little pinch of sea salt here. Don't be shy. And a little cracked black pepper. And my southern roots call for a pinch of paprika. I put paprika in a lot of things now. First discovered paprika in Hungary. How much I love paprika. They put paprika in a lot of things over there. So this is on a medium-high heat. You want to give it just a few minutes. And then we're going to add, it's 1 large russet potato. We were looking for golden potatoes, but they've been out. So normally it's 3 yellow potatoes or white potatoes, but we have 1 huge russet that's going to go in today. So for the sake of time, I'm just going to go ahead and throw those in here. It's such an easy recipe. You guys are going to go, what? When you pay $15 at a nice restaurant for some butternut squash soup, and you're going to realize how much you can make at home and how long it lasts. Well, we lost one to the floor here. You want to add your squash, your cubed butternut here, carefully. And by the way, this will make a ton of soup. So what I'm doing by cooking this big batch is I'm going to freeze half of it. I always have frozen food that's for nights that I don't feel like cooking or we're busy, and we don't eat convenience food. We eat fresh every single day of our life. And quite frankly, it's the way I prefer to live. And your body will thank you, especially right now as we're all facing depression from our lives being upheaved. Whoops, got one down low there. Many people are going to be affected by this. It's a large piece. I'm going to cut that down. Many people are going to be affected by this with their family members or friends or colleagues catching this virus. Now I'm going to add a nice tablespoon or so of dried basil. And all the stores have been out of fresh herbs, so we could not find tarragon, which normally this calls for a teaspoon of tarragon. So in its place, I'm going to use, y'all know I love doTERRA, I'm going to use some marjoram. Just a drop or 2. 2 drops. The oils are very potent. All right, so I'm just kind of braising this for a second, and then I'm gonna add my liquids. It calls for vermouth, like I told you, but I'm just gonna go ahead and use some Chardonnay. I usually use more alcohol than what recipes call for. I think that's just fine. When I make my spaghetti and meatballs, you'll see how the Vigorinos like to add wine to their sauce. It's one of the key ingredients. All right, so now I'm gonna add some vegetable broth. I didn't have any, I used it already from the freezer. So I'm just gonna add a box of organic vegetable broth here. The whole thing. This is actually a little bit of a small pot for me to have this much in. And then we're gonna top it off with some water. And we're gonna let that simmer. I believe in slow, loving cooking. And the longer that you can stew something, gives it time to incorporate the flavors. They call it marrying the flavors together. And I really can smell that already, especially the marjoram with the oil. So I'm gonna bring this to a boil, and then we're gonna let it simmer for maybe an hour. Then we're gonna start blending. It's looking good. We wanna simmer this, the longer the better, really until these vegetables will be fork tender and falling apart. I've added a couple leaves of fresh sage to this, some more salt and pepper, and a little parsley, which I didn't mention earlier. So, you know, you can taste it as it goes. Most really good cooks have a great sense of smell, and you can decide what it needs more of. Do you want it to be spicier? Do you want it to be more herbal flavor? And you know what herbs you like. Chives and sage are what we're going with today, but because I didn't have tarragon and we use basil, but you will learn. Maybe you want less apple and more potato, less potato, more apple, maybe more leek. You'll learn what your taste buds like, and I want to encourage you to be the master of your own culinary domain. All right, so the soup, the veggies in the soup have cooked down to literally where everything is fork tender. The potatoes, the apples, everything is just mushing together, which is really where you want it to go here. And then we're gonna just ladle that into our BlendTech blender here. I should get a commission. And we're gonna blend this up much like we did the cashews, and then we're gonna assemble it and enjoy. All right, so it took about a minute and a half on a high speed here to come up with this beautifully blended cashew cream. As you can see, it's light, it's fluffy, it's creamy. And we're gonna use this instead of heavy cream and creme fraiche to cream up our butternut squash soup. Again, this can be a base for, I make a ranch dressing and a Caesar dressing that's vegan, and this is the base of it. So there's lots of things you can do with soaked cashews and other soaked nuts, and I'm gonna teach you all along the way. We won't eat it every night. Sometimes we make traditional dressings or what have you, but for the most part, we're making the switch to eating as healthy as we can. Remember, food is your medicine. Alrighty, so we've blended with our BlendTech or whatever device that you have, our butternut squash and all the fixins that were in there. And look at this velvety, smooth soup. Some butternut squash recipes do not have the apples or the potato in it. I love this combination. Now the last step is to bring it back to a bit of a simmer and add what I'm using today is oat milk. Now again, you can use milk, half and half, cream, depending on how rich you like it. For this vegan recipe, however, we're using oat milk, which I think oat milk is very benign. You could use almond or coconut milk, but that will definitely adjust the flavor a little bit. So we're just gonna heat that through since that came from the fridge. And I just wanna say, it really can be a beautiful experience cooking for your family and your friends and yourself. I mean, I've always, even when I've been alone, have cooked for myself because it's essential, and truly you can put so much love. Food has vibration to it. If you understand we live in an energetic realm, that everything has an energy to it, a vibration, a resonance, and a resonance. And food is a way that we consume the energy of it. So I always am a proponent of eating as much live food as you can. Lots of salads, lots of fresh fruits and vegetables. Don't have fruit fear. And enjoy nature's bounty. Eating is such a pleasure, and we are so fortunate where we live. So please, during this time, be grateful for what you have. I've been to places, January and February, to Africa and the Amazon, where there aren't grocery stores in these villages. They don't have running water. They don't have access to food like we do. So with every morsel and bite that you take, be grateful for what you have. All right, and I'm grateful that I'm going to be able to serve this to my honey, who's an awesome cameraman. So I'm going to ladle this in here. Again, we're going to top it rather than creme fraiche or sour cream. We're going to use some of our cashew cream, right? A dollop right there. And you can go fancy and you can swirl it around if you want, like they do at the restaurants. All right. And then we're going to top it. This is a combo of fresh sage and a little bit of fresh chives that I got off the back porch. And there you go. Butternut squash soup from Teresa's Kitchen. Enjoy.